Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of A Few Short Minutes, the pod, where I want to remind you it takes just a few short minutes a day to actively rewire your brain for a better life. And today we've got the wonderful Tiffany West, who, as you can see, is an emotional care coach. And let me tell you about Tiffany just a little bit, and then I'll have her introduce herself. So, Tiffany is the proud owner of Interior Health Design. It's an wellness life coaching company that promotes self-love and body-based healing from the inside out. She's an emotional care coach, helping women safely recover from emotional neglect and heal their bodies and minds. Overcoming anxiety and more than 10 years of debilitating chronic pain and illness herself, she has found emotional peace and freedom, now transforming the lives of others by teaching and guiding them through the same CALM, and we'll ask what that is, um, remedies she created to heal herself. So, Tiffany, thank you so much for agreeing to be here and introduce yourself. What else do you want, watchers to know?
Yes. Hi, Stacy. So nice to see you. I'm happy to be here. Hi, everybody. Well, as you heard, my name is Tiffany West. And aside from the emotional care coach and the work that I do, I am a full-blown human. And I'm a highly sensitive soul. I'm very sensitive since I was a little girl. Was always told that my big feelings were too much. And I learned at a very early age to stuff that down and disconnect from myself and my body and just go right into achieving. And as you know, I'm sure my story resonates with many people. When I hit my late 20s, that caught up to me, and I experienced tons of health issues that I couldn't explain. The medical system, I felt like it failed me, literally. I don't want to demonize that system, but I really
No, but
felt like I wasn't getting the healing that I needed. And that is what catapulted me on a journey to learn about my own body and my own system so that I could, who knows my better body better than I do. And so that's what led me into health coaching. And that worked for a while, nutrition, lifestyle changes, watching what I put on my skin, things like that. That was awesome. But that was just one leg of the stool. And I realized I was hitting a lot of plateaus, and so were my clients. So that took me into, okay, what else is going on here? So I got certified to be a transformational coach, and I did a lot of work on mindset and positive thinking and manifesting, which is fun. And I loved it. And I still use that in my work today. However, it wasn't quite it. I still woke up feeling like crap every day, not feeling connected to myself, not loving my body, horrible inner dialogue I wouldn't even want to admit to anybody. So I was like, okay, something is going on. And then I would beat myself up for not being able to work with myself to stick to those habits. So that's what got me into researching emotional health and the impact emotional trauma has on our overall well-being. And that's where I struck gold. And that's what I'm doing today, is still constantly working with myself. We're always a work in progress, always healing, and life never stops. So stress and anxiety, depression, health symptoms, they're always on the rise. So I'm just happy to be here with my calm remedy that you said. That's what I use. It's my framework that got me out of a really dark place, and into really feeling connected and healed and stopping a lot of those shame spirals and those negative loops, mental loop spirals that I would find myself in. It's really what I use to calm my system. And that's what I've been using to walk others through to help them feel more at ease inside of their bodies.
that's amazing. And you guys, I resonated with her story so much because it's very much my story too. Uh, I woke up 10 years ago, so when I was 36, and it was because of the chronic pain. Just
Yep.
nasty, nasty chronic pain. I've had 2 neck surgeries. I mean, yeah. And of course, the medical community was like, "We don't know. We don't
Drugs.
know." Yeah, here's gabapentin, here's Lyrica, here's, whatever, meloxicam, here's, Zipsor, there's, like, a million anti-inflammatories, a million, medications, um, and my diagnosis is fibromyalgia, which is a catch-all because they don't know what to do with that.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I very much resonate with your story. Um, and it's amazing how once you stop battling yourself in
Yeah.
such a nasty, nasty way, how like your pain kind of subsides, more and more and more. Am I completely pain free? No. but am I further in between flares? Absolutely, I am, and I think Tiffany will share the same thing. She shared that with me as well. So, Tiffany, I want you to talk about how you developed calm, and then I want you to talk about calm in implementation and actuality.
Awesome. Yeah. So the development of it was literally experiential. It was life. When I was 27, I had my first son, a single mom. Relationship with his dad was hell on wheels. That's a whole nother story for Jerry Springer. Right. And so living in that, I worked full time in a corporate job. I was trying to go to school for psychology, just very in the culture of hustle and push and achieve and
Yeah.
work your way up to some ladder. I don't even know where the end of that ladder goes. But I just really quickly knew in my body as I kept living that way and being a single mom, I could not sustain survival mode. It just wasn't helping. And my youngest or my oldest, he had really, really severe life threatening asthma from the age of 2 weeks old. We were carrying oxygen holders with him, his diaper bag, him. So he was definitely experiencing tons of medical trauma, and his system did not feel calm. I did not feel calm with asthma. I mean, we lived in the ER and we were always in the hospital. Those are some of our
Yep.
favorite memories. We're in
Yep.
the hospital. But living that way, I was so disconnected from what that was doing, the impact all of that was having on my system, not to mention what I hadn't even addressed from some of the emotional neglect that I got as a child. No fault of my parents. I'm not here to blame. I'm just
No.
here to own and claim my own experience and how it affected me. And that was how I created the calm, was by getting connected with myself and changing my relationship to the pain, to the symptoms, to my body, and then, of course, with myself. And so when my son was about 4 or 5 years old, I went to school for psychology and quickly learned that that was not what I wanted to do. I did not want to be putting people, giving them a label and a diagnosis and saying, here's your destiny. So it really took me into a journey, as I said, into really uncovering what is the pathway? What do I need? Is it diet? Is it nutrition? Is it a better mindset? And I just kind of cultivated was picking up these gems as I went along. But while I was going through the journey, I was totally confused. I felt like I wasn't making any traction. I felt in the dark all the time. I felt like even holistic modalities weren't working for me when I gave up on the traditional medical system. And I just felt like I was in this big mess. But the mess is what created the masterpiece. It was me having to learn and experience, what do I need in this moment? I don't care about what my life goals are, what I'm trying to do a year from now, where my business is going to go. What do I need to survive this moment? So I created the C in the calm method, which is the first thing I take my clients through, is to connect to your body. We have these bodies, but we don't really live in them, because if we've experienced a lot of trauma, emotional, physical, mental trauma, our bodies don't feel safe. And so I really had to learn, one, that I had a body, and two, that it had a lot of wisdom. And those symptoms were not here to be at war with me. My body was not at war with me. I was really at war with myself. And my body was just presenting and communicating the dis-ease that was showing up as physical symptoms because of the disconnection that I had. So mind body connection is first thing, but really honoring the wisdom of the body. And then the A in that calm method is to affirm what's true for you. So this is all about creating safety, validating yourself. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I hurt. And that must be so hard. Really, like, giving yourself that affirmation of, this isn't easy. This is hard. Not, it hurts, but you should be over this by now, or you're sad, but you really should be happy. Just dismissing what you need in the moment and learning to meet yourself and love yourself with compassion there was really what helped me get out of that dark place, because I nurtured myself into healing. I didn't shame myself into healing. And that all came when I just went into complete burnout. I couldn't do anything else. I was at my wit's end. I had tried everything. I ran out of energy. I ran out of options. And what was left was me, and how I treated myself and how I talked to myself. That was really that A in the affirm. The L is to listen to yourself, listen and learn what your body is communicating to you. Our body doesn't speak language like us. It doesn't speak words, it speaks sensation. So instead of allowing myself to go into disconnection and into my brain story of what everything meant and what I needed to fix and how it was a problem and my body was wrong, I just started to listen and tune in. Okay, I do have this pain. Let me just allow my body to talk to me. Let me allow it to feel safe enough to express to me that there's something off and I don't have to know what it is right now. That's the key right there, is you don't have to figure it out right away. You don't have
That's
to
so hard.
analyze it. Yeah, it's so hard. And so we do a lot of work on the L. I some of my clients, we spend months on that part, but once you master and learn your body's love language, then it's cake. Life opens up, the magic opens up. You no longer have to figure and guess and fix. It's just about connecting. And then the M is to manage these wonderful, beautiful, active, busy minds that we have going on that have been programmed with a lot of stuff that is not aligned with our truth, with who we truly are at the core. And that's nobody's fault. I mean, we all have to abandon our authenticity as kids at some point in order to preserve the attachment with the people who are helping us survive, right? So it's not safe to always be ourselves when that's not really approved of by the people that are taking care of us. And so that is in a nutshell where the calm remedy came from. And I call it a remedy because it truly is like an energetic elixir, but we're doing tons of somatic work, bringing safety and regulation to the nervous system, really honoring the body. And when the body feels safe, it's no longer sending all those crazy messages to the brain that you're in some kind of a threat. And then it's a lot easier to do mindset work and manifest and create a life of your dreams from this place of safety and your truth versus your trauma.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, and I see myself in your story as well. I don't know if I shared with you, but my oldest was born without an immune system, so our life for the first 5 years was a string of doctors and
Mhm.
hospitals, and there's no room for me at that point
None.
in time. There is no room for how I'm feeling, what I want, how like, there's none. It's just about advocating for your kid, keeping them alive,
Yep.
fighting the fight because it is not
Great
easy.
survival of the fittest.
Yeah, it really is. And then when you go through that and you finally can take a breath at the other end, you're like stuck in that loop now. You don't know
Yeah.
what else to do. And I couldn't, yeah, I couldn't breathe
Yeah.
for years after that. It was always okay, well, what's he gonna come home sick with now? Or, oh gosh, he wants to go to Chuck E. Cheese for his birthday. Am I willing to chance
Expose
that?
him
So
to that. Yeah, exactly.
exactly. So he has a normal-ish childhood. And it was like without clockwork. We'd go to Chuck E. Cheese, a week later, he'd be sick.
Hmm.
Clockwork.
Same
And it's like,
thing.
okay, well, do I have the capacity to allow for that sickness? Because I was working full time and I was married, but it was me. It was on me. I was the one
Hmm.
that left the job when needed. I was the one that stayed underemployed because of this. Like, yeah, there's no room. There's no room for you. And when there is finally room, you're so stuck in that loop.
You don't
I
know
don't
who
think
to
you even
be.
realize it.
No. You don't even know who you are anymore. You're just some programmed version of who you think you need to be or who you had to survive to be. And I do a lot of work on honoring that survival version of us. We don't want to just, there's a lot of this journey especially in the spiritual realm of, evolving into the best version of ourselves or the highest version of ourselves. And I think that's beautiful and it's lovely. And we all have that, but we don't want to dismiss this quote unquote lower version of ourselves because she or he is the one that got us through the mud, that got us through that warfare of
Mhm.
physical health, chronic mental health. It could have been physical abuse, whatever the trauma was. And the guilt that we carry as moms for feeling like we needed to be able to give our kids a good quality of life and manage their condition. And then when we can't do that, we feel like we failed them in some way and we failed ourselves in some way. And that's where those shame spirals just go out of hand. So I totally, totally understand where you're coming from because you don't know who you are. You literally are at a loss for who you are, but deep down your soul does. And that's where the conflict comes up because you're living a life that doesn't feel true to you, but you're
Oh,
doing
yeah.
what you have to do to show up. And that not the battle we all have, regardless
Yeah.
of whether you're a mom or not a mom or a parent or not a parent? It doesn't matter. We're all having that same. That's what a midlife crisis is you're waking up to the fact that, wait a minute, whose life have I been living? And it's not mine, but now it's too late, quote unquote, to be who I came here to be or be true to myself, because now I've identified as this other personality and I don't
Yeah.
know how to change that, right? I don't know how to get to who I am, and I don't even know if it's safe to do so. So
I think the
it's
last one's the big one, right? Is if like, okay, if I give up this life, what does that look like? And that feels too big, too scary, too overwhelming,
but
to do that. And yeah, you're right. I didn't know what I wanted my life to look like because I didn't know who I was anymore. All I knew is I was coming home at night after work going, "This cannot be it.
yeah,
This cannot
I'm
be
not.
all that I'm here for. This can't be
Mm-mm.
it."
And then you
And that's
feel
it.
guilty as a mom because we are taught in our society that when you have kids and you get that label as a mom, that's who you are.
That's it.
You're not Stacy anymore. You're mom, right? Or wife or whomever. Like, you are mom and you lose. It's like you give your you card away. And I teach a lot around not that. When you're a mom, you have to be selfish. You need to fill your own cup, because to me, you're doing your kids a disservice when you're coming from this depleted place on 2% battery within yourself, trying to do for everybody else and do for your kids, and you don't even have it in you to do it. You're not even sustained and filled up to do
Mm-mm.
that. That's scary.
Yeah, it is, and it led to some not great parenting moments on my part that now I'm having to, unravel years later.
Yeah,
My youngest has massive anxiety,
my
because of it
oldest too.
and, attachment issues because of it, and rightfully so.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that I contributed to that, and that is probably one of the hardest truths
It
that
really
I
is.
had to admit and accept is like, "Oh, I fucked my kid up. I didn't
Yeah,
want to, I didn't mean to, I wanted him to be better than my childhood, and yet here we are."
and that's
And
hard, right? It's really hard to
yeah,
swallow that pill. But here's the thing, Stacy, we all fuck our kids up. None of us get the manual. We got fucked up by our parents. We're going to fuck our kids up. Why? Because we're not perfect parents. We're not
yep,
perfect people. We're not meant to be perfect. What I've learned has been the most helpful, because my oldest is 19 now and he's amazing. Definitely got a lot of anxiety and stuff, that my junk that I spilled over to him unconsciously. But I have a toddler. He's 3, and he now is, I'm like very conscious now about how I show up, but I don't hold myself to a standard of perfection, because then that fucks us up, right? Then we're
yeah,
trying to be these perfect moms and these perfect people. And that's, our kids don't need us perfect. They just want to see us be human. And so what I'm finding, even though we make ruptures with our kids emotionally, they don't remember that. They can heal from that. They actually need that. That's the adversity and the contrast they need to build their own emotional resilience. However, it's about the repair. If I snap at my younger one, which I do all the time, and I always tell myself, "Oh, I'm going to be so calm. Let me do my calm remedy," and then I'm triggered, and all that's out the window. He gets crazy, mama, and then I'm feeling guilty, and it's easy to go into that spiral. But what I remind myself is, yeah, I effed up and I snapped at him and I yelled at him and it didn't feel good. I give myself time to connect with what I'm feeling and give myself that validation, regulate. And then I go talk to him and I'm, hey, mommy was emotional too. I felt angry like you felt angry, and I went off. And I'm sorry for that. You didn't deserve it. He melts right away and doesn't even care about what happened. And then, you know what I tell him? I can't promise I'll never do it again. I'm not holding myself to that standard. I'm going to do it again. And then I'm going to apologize again. And then I'm going to work on it again. And that's the dynamic that we get to have as moms and parents, versus this high standard of perfectionism that we can never be off our game. And we always have to be pleasant with our kids. Our kids don't need that. They need to see us be messy humans. And then we need to show them what it looks like to repair that mess.
yeah, I think that that's what most of us missed in childhood, it was the repair part.
Yeah, we didn't
Like,
get
we
that.
get the apology, but
Not the repair.
not the repair part.
I don't even know about the apology. My parents, there's no way. I was a kid. What are they apologizing for? They're always right.
Yeah,
Right. That was the That's good that you got that because I didn't get that. It was
Yeah,
just like,
it wasn't consistent, but I do
mm,
remember, getting spanked and then my mom saying, "I'm sorry I had to do that," or
oh,
the d
that's
the backhanded, "Why do you make me do this?" And it's like,
wow. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
sorry I did that, but you shouldn't have done what you did.
Yep,
It like
exactly,
just wipes
exactly. So
out
that,
the apology.
it was an apology wrapped in a non-apology.
Yeah,
Um, Talk about somatics because I don't it's becoming more and more popular, which I'm super excited to see, but I don't think the regular people off the street have the level of understanding that you and I have. I mean, obviously not. We're specialized for a reason. And so talk about somatics and the importance of doing somatic therapy to kind of complete these cycles that were incomplete for a very long time.
awesome. So the first place I'll start with that is we are taught to believe in our medical system. That's what they're taught in schooling, in medical school, and in our mental health care system, that trauma is psychological. So we use logic to heal from trauma or to fix or solve the problems that trauma is leading to, the anxiety and the depression and the physical health symptoms. We're focusing on the psychology of it, and we're not looking at the truth of the matter is trauma is physiological. It happens in our bodies. It's happening in our nervous system. And if we are addressing our bodies through the lens of our logic, we're not going to make that connection because our bodies, like I said, they don't speak that language. They speak a whole nother language. So that is actually what somatic work is just connection with the body and being able to do practices in conjunction with the body to facilitate the body's regulation, to help our nervous system feel less on edge, like we're constantly on alert for danger, right? There's this bear chasing us 24/7. The saber-tooth tiger is out to take our lives, and our nervous systems are constantly on and activated in the kind of society we live in, and without healing the trauma from the body, then we're not really working with the body and doing practices that help regulate and bring the body out of that survival mode and into like a safe rest and digest. I can connect, I can be social, I can laugh, I can play. So there's no amount of logic that will work for somebody who's having an emotional breakdown or a mental breakdown. You can't talk somebody out of that. You can't think your way out of a trauma response. So somatics brings you into the body to learn the body's language and then start working with your body once you're listening and understanding what it is your body needs on a very deeper biological, physiological level, not just up here what you're learning and thinking.
Yeah,
That comes into
absolutely.
place later. The mind is very useful, but just we need to make sure we're doing things in the right order when it comes to healing, or we do kind of make a
Right.
bigger mess and don't understand why.
'Cause the mind actually follows the body, and I don't think
It,
there's enough information out there for, again, everyday person off the street to understand. We think that the mind rules the body. It does in some aspects, however,
they feed
the
off of each
body,
other.
yeah, they feed off of each other, and when you're trying to heal, you can't disregard the body connection in the healing.
It's
How would somebody
essential.
know that they are in a position to seek out help and support in somatics? Like,
If
what are
you
they
are,
doing right now? What are some behaviors that they're doing?
behaviors are going to look like very anxious, waking up feeling overwhelmed no matter how much sleep you get, and you just kind of wake up with that doom and gloom for the day. The to-do list feels like a heavy weight on your chest, but you're just pushing through and doing what you got to do. So anxiety, depression, a lot of depression is diagnosed, and I'm no doctor here, but it's diagnosed as a chemical reaction in the brain, which I believe is true. But I also believe that the body, when the body is feeling overwhelmed and you're in burnout, it's going to go into a depressed state in order to conserve your energy so you can survive. And so that's a sign if you're feeling very overwhelmed, tired, sluggish, chronic fatigue, you're just not feeling yourself, you've got a lot of brain fog, you're not thinking clearly. We're moving into physical symptoms now. If you're feeling chronic pain, a lot of chronic tension, things that doctors can't diagnose or they can't find, but even with diagnosis like fibromyalgia, Pain is a huge indicator of unresolved emotional trauma. It's like a flashing red neon light for me when I speak with my clients of like there's emotion stuck in their energy body, which has kind of transmuted into their physical body and now has kind of moved into chronic disease until we work with the root of it. Digestive issues, that's what something I experienced, hair loss, eczema, brain fog, forgetting, being very forgetful. I always thought it was just the way that I was, being very emotionally reactive to things and then trying to tell yourself that wasn't that big of a deal. Why do I keep reacting in ways that I don't like? And then sensitivities. Are you sensitive to light and noise and conflict? Do you find yourself shutting down if you're arguing with somebody, or will you even let the argument go on? Or are you really hyper reactive, and you're ready to fight? Like you put the gloves out and you take things and you make them a bigger deal. I was told a lot, you take things too personally. You need to stop doing that. So all of those, perfectionism, people pleasing, all of that is in the bucket of showing you anytime you feel off or don't feel like you are showing up as who you would like to be and feeling joy and feeling whole and feeling full. I can pretty much guarantee there's going to be some unresolved emotional trauma living in the body that your brain has not connected to. And many of us aren't taught this. So you just don't know what you don't know. You really don't. We don't know until we know it, right? So
Yeah, and a lot of
definitely
those
seek
symptoms
support.
sound like ADHD.
Yep, ADHD is another one. I don't really believe in that. I think we all have ADHD and forms of OCD. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't even like using the word disorder. There's the nervous system is in a chronic state of unsafe. It doesn't feel safe, and it's chronically dysregulated. And so, of course, there's going to be all these symptoms firing off. And if we're just treating the symptoms when we're never giving the nervous system the nurturing that it needs to calm and feel like, oh, I'm not having to fight a tiger right now. Your life is not at stake right now. And here's the thing to remember and to know is that our body's going to always prioritize survival over anything else. So survival comes before healing. It comes before spiritual expansion and enlightenment and evolution and like all these things that we're wanting to ascend into our higher selves. With when our body is in a state of survival mode, it doesn't matter how many kale salads you eat, how many supplements, how well you're living your life. Your body's not going to be able to receive the amazing things you're giving it, because it's in survival mode. So we have to learn, what does it take to create a healing environment, and create that safety in our system for our bodies to say, oh, it's okay to come out of survival and I can bring my attention to healing. And there is a process that it takes to get there. And that's what my calm remedy walks you through.
What also comes to mind is, there's all those memes out there about nothing feels better than last minute canceled plans.
I love that. Reneging. Yeah.
I think that's a high flag waving that you need some somatic help there. Or if you're somebody that doom scrolls or just sits down and lose yourself in Netflix for hours upon hours,
Where you need
that's a
constant outer
signal.
stimulation. Yeah.
Yep, that's a signal to me that you would benefit from somatics. And what I've learned about myself is that I've been in therapy 10 years, and I spent a hell of a lot of time intellectualizing it.
Yep.
Hell of a lot of time.
We
I could
do.
quote you Freud, Jung, like
All of
it,
it.
no problem, like the back of my hand. I could therapy my therapist, like the back of my hand. But what I wasn't doing was feeling it in my body. And it's just been in the last, I don't know, maybe 2 years that I've been allowing that to happen, and that is a whole new level. It's a
It
whole
really
new
does.
level.
It changes the whole game. And here's the thing, we can tell people you need to feel your feelings because it's a thing out there now. It's pretty
For sure.
popular. It's a buzz statement. But what we're not doing is letting people know how dangerous it can be to just start feeling feelings when you aren't taught how to do that. When you don't know what your body needs in order to be able to be okay with you doing that, it can create a lot of backlog and re-traumatize you in ways that you aren't expecting, because there is an essential sequence to feeling your feelings and making sure your body and your nervous system feel safe enough and have the capacity to feel those feelings. And that's a gradual process. It's not something that you just go in ripping band-aids off and ripping the scars off of these emotional wounds you didn't know were there. And you're like, once your mind gets word that there's a way to heal it, our minds are very urgent and we need to get it all done now and yesterday, right? And that can be very dangerous. So there definitely has to be an incremental level of bringing that in and learning how to grow your capacity first to feel your feelings before you just go start doing that. And I'm sure you're noticing that too. There's sometimes you might have been trying to feel feelings and you felt flooded and completely overwhelmed or spiraling into some kind of quicksand of despair or grief or
Yep.
sadness and fear. And so when you don't have the right support in that situation, it can get ugly and you can drown in those feelings. And so I'm really careful to tell your audience, and I'm always giving the message, if you're ready and you're having some of those symptoms where you think you might be curious or interested in somatic work and emotional healing, make sure you're reaching out and getting support, and you're not doing that on your own or Googling how to do that. Please don't do that. No, no.
No, I mean, it's great for knowledge, but if you're actually gonna implement it, please do it with a trusted somatic therapist, somatic coach,
Trauma
because
informed. Yeah, you
yeah,
need something.
trauma-informed people for sure, um, because otherwise you could fall in a hole and stay there instead, and that's not the goal of this at
No.
all. And it's funny that you say, "Oh, I'm sure you've been flooded." I got flooded yesterday.
Mhm.
Even through this 10 years of healing, even through, healing through my own coaching, I got flooded yesterday. Tomorrow's the anniversary of my brother unaliving himself 8 years ago, and I was talking to my therapist yesterday, and she said, "What is it about this week that you can't manage, but you decide to manage it the rest of the time?" And I said, "I don't know." And she said, "I think the rest of the time you think you're managing it and you're pushing it away, but this week you're actually allowing yourself to feel it." And my answer was, "I'm afraid to get back in that hole because I was in
Mhm.
that hole for 2 years and I didn't see a way out. I
Right.
couldn't
There is
figure it
no way
out."
out when you're in the hole.
No, and I am so afraid to go back there. And she said, "That's fine. You can be afraid, but there's also a piece of you at the bottom of the hole."
That you have to, yeah, you can't leave that piece of you behind. And you need a very safe pathway to get back to that piece of you and to go back and feel those feelings, because there's a lot of unprocessed grief. I mean, I'm so sorry. You've
Yeah.
told me about your brother, and every time you tell me, I feel it. And the fact that this is happening yesterday, this is very new for you. The grief wants to come up and be healed, but your brain also knows we don't have the right container for that. Like, I don't know if this is safe. I don't know if it's the right time to do that. And the rest of the year, it is the right time because you can kind of tuck it away and put it in its little container and lock it, right?
Yep.
But then it's going to come up. Our emotions are going to come up. So I am just sending you a lot of love and big hugs,
Thank you,
because
friend.
trauma healing, the healing journey is, it's a grief process. It really is. Trauma healing is grieving. That is what grief is. It's not just when we lose somebody. It's not just when something catastrophic happens. Life itself is a grieving process. Growth and change is a grieving process. And so until we're taught how to grieve safely, we don't face it and we don't look at it. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's a step for
absolutely.
you, is learning how to do it safely. And it sounds like you're already on the road to that. And when you do get back in that hole and you do feel safe enough to go in and get that part of you, oh boy, how much value she's going to add to what you're
Yeah,
already.
that's what my therapist said, but I'm not convinced just yet.
Yeah, because there's the safety piece that's completely missing, and your body needs to feel that, not your brain saying when that's okay.
Yeah,
Your body is going to be the determiner of, is it time now? And you'll know when you feel that. But yeah,
yeah.
listen to yourself and trust yourself. If you're not ready, you're not ready, and pushing yourself to do it, it's not going to work that way.
No,
Yeah.
and that's so true. I've had instances of, grief hitting me, not about my brother, but, like, about being the mom I said I would never be and then end up doing it and fucking my
Yeah.
kids up. Like, I had to grieve that, and I had to give that Stacey grace because, man, she was struggling. She was
Yes.
struggling just to live, let alone contribute positively to anybody's life. I was
You didn't have
so
the
in survival
overflow.
mode.
Yeah. You're pulling on reserves. And then we have these high expectations on we should still be able to show up at 100% when we're only at 2%. And we get that's learned. I'm realizing that our inner critic is just the critical voice that we had at us as kids.
Oh, correct, yeah.
And I'm learning too. I want to be my child's inner voice and inner encourager, but not their inner critic. If they're going to have one, they're going to come up with that on their own. The world's going to do enough of that. But if we are in a place where we're unaware of that, then we just have to have that grace for ourselves to say, you know what, I'm imperfect, healing, trauma, victim as well. And I'm learning and figuring this stuff as I go. Who has the manual? Nobody.
Yeah, nobody.
A lot of
No.
people think they do, but we don't. Nobody has the manual for you and what you
Yeah.
need, what your body needs, what safety feels like in your system. That's going to feel and look different for everybody. So just your intention to be curious about it and your intention to want to learn is what opens up your body to feel safe enough to start teaching and showing you. And I feel like that's really close for you. It's like underway.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because she was asking, like, "What's down there? What's the piece?" And I said, "I don't know. I have no clue." I
And what's
know.
happening with that is there's a lot of intellectualizing going on. You having to think what is going on. So they're thought provoking questions. And I love therapy for that.
Mhm.
However, you won't know what's down there until you feel into the things that feel too scary to get down there. And so that's not going to happen up here.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. It's fascinating, and it just goes to show my friends that no matter how far along you think somebody is, they're not as far as you think they are. They might be good at, not revealing it,
I was
and
very good at masking. Yeah.
oh, so good at masking.
I
So
had
good at masking.
perfect outer presentation. I was so good at it. I didn't want anybody knowing because I was such a hot mess and so ashamed
Mhm.
of that person inside. I had to keep that hidden, right? I
Yeah,
couldn't bear somebody
absolutely.
else seeing it. Yeah.
Even from myself.
Yep.
I even masked for myself too, which is
Yep.
wild to think about. Like, you're not telling yourself the truth? Yep,
No, because
absolutely was not.
the truth is too scary. The truth is not safe. No. And we're going
Mm,
to prioritize that safety and survival over anything, even if it's an external sense of safety. That's going to help us survive. Oh, your puppy
hi.
can feel you.
Yeah, she's so good like that, and I
That's
got her
awesome.
s I got 2 of them spayed on Wednesday, so they're healing themselves. Huh,
No. Well,
you
she's
okay?
sharing some love because she's holding space for you. And that's really,
Yeah,
really
she
precious.
is. She's definitely my emotional support animal. This one is. The other 2 are okay, but this one definitely gets me. Can you get
Yeah.
down, please?
Oh,
I
how
love
cute.
you. I love you, though. Can you let me finish recording? Mhm. Can you just sit here? Right there. Okay,
She's
thank
like,
you.
but you need me. You need me right
Yeah,
now.
yes. Alright, you got something to say? No, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, she's actually a part of my healing journey, um, because she was the catalyst for a lot of changes that needed to happen between me and my parents,
Hmm.
um, and so, yeah, she's she's my savior in some ways. I always say that I think Nathan sent her, because she showed up, 18 months after he died,
Oh,
so
wow. And we can feel that. Your soul knows that
yeah,
familiarity.
she's a good girl. Okay, but can you get down now, please?
Like, I don't want to.
No,
Why do I
you can I'll
have to?
pet you, but just don't. Okay, whatever.
We can
You
just
guys are gonna
let
have
it
to deal with
be
the
what
dog.
it is. Yeah, got the fur baby in the interview. I love it.
Exactly, exactly. I wonder the stories she could tell. Huh, yeah,
No.
she knows so much. Um, so talk about your program and what it's like to work with you. Who do you seek out as far as, like, your as far as, like, the people that resonate with you or can receive help from you?
Yeah, it's primarily women. I don't really have like the whole like demographics. I think that we all are healing. So that
Yeah.
never resonates with me. But I really work with women who are sensitive in nature. So and not sensitive in you're weak or there's something wrong, but you're very intuitive, very empathic. You have deep, deep feelings for things that don't always make a lot of sense. And then your body usually is sensitive to that high stress. So if you are experiencing any type of chronic physical health symptoms, any type of mental anxiety, depression, feeling low self worth, just not feeling super connected to yourself or feeling like you can be yourself. Those are the types of women that I love to work with, where you want more for yourself, but you're just not, you've tried so many things and they haven't worked. You're a bit discouraged and you're not sure. Instead of saying these systems aren't working for me, you turn it inward and you're dealing with a lot of the shame, the internalized shame of I must be bad, I must be wrong, I'm the only one that can't be fixed. Those types of things are the women that I help change that whole narrative, because we're not broken. And actually, all of those symptoms are pointing you to your divine power. They're pointing you to the divinity that lives inside of you. You just need help like working through what all this stuff means in a world that doesn't teach and speak this kind of language at all. So I'm actually in the midst of creating a brand new program called Stop the Spiral. And it's all about stopping those self-abusive, those shame spirals. Even if you don't realize you're in them, that's what the program does. He's like, or
Just
she's like,
taking over.
I want to be friend. I need this. So it's all about really reuniting with your body, coming home to yourself, but creating that safe pathway to do so. So it's a 3-month program. The first program is all about safety. It's all about creating safety in our nervous system, creating safety in the body. And we're doing somatic practices to facilitate that sense of safety internally. Month 2 is about support, what your body needs to feel supported and strong enough to feel all the emotional trauma. And then month 3 is all about surrender. Once we can feel safe enough, we can surrender into our growth, surrender into our truth, surrender into the divine design that is here for us that our brains can't always wrap their minds around. And then that's where the magic happens in your life when you're regulated and you know what your system needs and you're not judging yourself and being your own worst enemy. And you're able to feel your emotions, all of them. None of them are good or bad. They're just energy. Then you get I consider our emotions like little divine spiritual messengers that are here to help guide us to our purpose and guide us along our path. And so that month 3 is all about stepping into who you are when you have this solid foundation and you're living life from the lens of your truth and not your trauma. Then you get your magic wand and you just get to start manifesting and creating more miracles in your life and working smarter, not harder, and not burning yourself out. You're taking care of yourself and taking a nap, right? Letting the
Yes.
dishes fill up, leaving the laundry in the basket and not beating yourself up because you're not being productive enough or not doing it right.
Mhm.
You're letting all those other things fall by the wayside. They'll get done and they're going to get done in a much better place within you. And you'll have more than enough time to do them when you become the first priority. And I teach women how to let go of the guilt so that they can be that for themselves. And then they show up so much better with themselves, with their kids, with their spouses, relationships. You make more money. It's all about this emotional healing piece and creating safety in the body. And that's what Stop the Spiral is all about, is really working on the foundation and not just looking at the leaves on the tree and saying, oh, let's cut this one off because it's dying. Let's make the tree look pretty. No, we're going to get down and dirty and we're going to be digging in the mud, but I help you do it in a way that feels fun and adventurous and safe. And we're going on a treasure hunt to find that treasure living in your trauma. And the treasure is you. You are the treasure. Your true self is the treasure. And I help you come back home to that in a really safe, fun, adventurous way. Because
I
trauma's
love
not, yeah, it could be
No,
dark.
trauma is yeah, I love that you say you're gonna dig in the dirt. It ain't pretty. Healing is not pretty. It is
Mm-mm.
so messy. It
It's
is
not
so
rainbows.
messy, and it's exhausting, and yeah, it never is a convenient time, never, but man, what lies on the other side of it is so amazing, it's
It's
worth it.
worth it. It's totally worth it. And look, life is messy and life's not easy. And so either you're going to endure this pain for no reason, you're just going to endure the pain in vain, or you can just decide to take the healing journey if it's one you're meant to take in this lifetime. Sometimes our souls aren't meant to take it in a lifetime because there's more to learn. But I am choosing to have pain with purpose. Like my pain is going to pay off because we're going to be experiencing pain and struggle and hardships and trauma anyway. There's no way you come into this earth plane without experiencing trauma or some type of pain or suffering.
For
So I
sure.
just help you use it to serve you versus use it against yourself and as a weapon to beat yourself up with or other people, because
Yeah.
that's what's going on in the world right now. It's just one big energetic projection of unhealed emotional trauma.
Mm, for
Starts
sure.
with you. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, you're the only one that you can control. You're the only one that you can choose to heal. You can't do it for your kids. You can't do it for your partner. You can do it for yourself. And
No,
also vice versa. Nobody can heal for you. They can't do the work for you. And I always like the saying, nobody's coming.
nobody,
Nobody's
nobody.
coming.
Well,
Nobody's
nobody has to come because you're already there. And so it's all about waking up and remembering, because all that happens when we're born is we just forget who we are on a soul level. We forget we're already healed. We're already abundant. We already have everything. We're already sufficient. We're already worthy. We're already that in our essence. But when we come into this physical experience, we forget it because then logic takes over. And to me, the whole point is to find that journey back home to yourself, because you don't need anybody to come when you're already there. Like, right? And so I love that, because nobody is coming. And the people who do come to save you, they end up not being who you think they are anyway. Well, so
woof.
that's another
Girl,
conversation.
yes.
We need to do another podcast on that narcissism, but
Oh, yeah,
in
we
there.
absolutely could, we absolutely could. So,
Yeah.
if you guys would love to see Tiffany back, go ahead and comment below. If you've got questions for her, please comment below, and I will guide her to them so she can answer on her own. And Tiffany, tell the people where they can find you if any of this resonated with them today and they're curious and wanna check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to see more about what I'm doing and what I'm up to, I'm on Instagram at Tiffany Coach Me. So Tiffany Coach Me. And in Facebook, you can find me under Tiffany West. I'm Aurora, Colorado, because there's tons of us there. Or you can just go to my website, tiffanycoachme.com. You can find me
And
there.
all of that will be linked in the description below, so you guys already know. Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today. Me and
you.
Winnie and I say thank you. She did finally chill out. She's sitting next to
Okay.
me
She's like, I
now.
just needed you to know you were okay and I was here for you.
Yep,
And I'm
she's
still here for you.
chilling out on a pillow next to me,
Love it.
um, staring at me. She's the best. So yeah, everything's linked in the description below. You guys go check out Tiffany. I um I enjoy every time I hang out with her, meet with her. I think she is just amazing at what she does and knowledgeable, and not just from a book standpoint, but from a life experiential standpoint. And you can always tell the people who are speaking from a book level versus an experiential level, and every time, I don't care how smart somebody is, the experiential level wins out, in my opinion, because they know what it feels like to have been there and done that. And they know what it looks like in the middle. And that's
And they
probably
know
where
how to
you are
get
right now.
out, right? They know how to get out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They know some ways out. So go check her out, and y'all do all the YouTubey things, like subscribe if you haven't already. My socials are down below too if you want to hang out with me and just kind of figure out. My specialty is on that inner critic and stopping it. And I'm not 100%. I will never be 100%, but I am about 80% better than I used to be. And yes, I was very much one of those people who I still won't admit what I said to myself at some times, because it is devastating what I would say to
It's
myself.
lethal. It's volatile and it's lethal. Yeah.
It is lethal. It is
Yeah.
lethal. So yeah, so if you wanna be better there, and then you can have Tiffany's help along side of it, there's a beautiful synergy here for sure. So, thank you again for joining me. What a beautiful conversation. Yes, I would love to have you back for a different topic for sure. And Yeah, you guys. So I just want to remind you it literally takes just a few short minutes of mindfulness practice, of somatics, of, catching that inner critic a few times a day to rewire your brain for a better and more beautiful life. And I know it's possible because I've done it. Tiffany's done it. And you are so worth it as you stand here today in the
Thank
middle of
you.
the mess. Now's the time. Now's the time. So I love you, and I'll see you guys again on the next episode.
Mwah.
Bye.